Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alpha Nerds podcast. Pedro.
Yo, I feel outstanding. We are back.
Yeah,
I've been itching to do some podcasting. You scratched that itch when we did our Final Fantasy 15 retrospective, so I'm excited. I'm ready. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. So, as you heard, ladies and gentlemen, me and Pedro did a Final Fantasy 15 deep dive discussion. I think it was over 3 hours long. And that is going to go up right around the same time as this goes up. So our channel is going to have quite a bit of good content for you to dive into. I've been saving it, Pedro.
Yeah.
She's locked and loaded. And I've been saving it for this moment. But if you guys don't know, me and Pedro, two best friends, used to live together. Used to do a podcast called The Alpha Nerds and Two Beers and a Whiskey. Stopped doing that, and now we're back.
We are back. Good times. I was actually listening to some of those old T-Bars, and we said some wild shit.
We did say some wild stuff, and I sometimes go back and I'm like, I should probably delete these.
I mean, there's nothing I don't think anything ridiculous, but there's definitely some hot takes. Definitely some hot takes.
Like the whole episode you were defending John Jones.
Yeah, oof, bad luck. I'll take things that didn't age well for 100, Alex.
Yeah, not ideal, but yeah. So that show kind of fizzled out when I actually think we stopped recording when you moved in, didn't we?
Yeah. Once we lived together, that was the end.
Once it was way more convenient, we stopped recording. It was the weirdest thing.
Because that makes sense. That's what we like to do.
Yeah, I don't know, but we're back now, and that's all there is to it. So we are two huge RPG nuts, and I think it's important that me and you talk about Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about Baldur's Gate. We talk about Xenoblade.
Yeah.
But before that, Pedro, tell me what you've been up to recently. Tell me if you got any interesting stories for the audience.
Well, me, I've been all over the place. As you know, I was in a pretty tough spot professionally for last 6 months or so. So yes, recently changed.
Last 6 years, buddy.
Yeah, last 6 years definitely. But it definitely got worse the last 6 months. Where without getting into too many details, things just got to the point where the situation was unattainable. So changed jobs, just finally completed a 9-week training academy. To put some context behind what I was actually doing, in that academy I was hit with a baton, I was hit with OC spray, handcuffed, thrown down, learned some defensive tactics. So those of you who can put two to two together might be able to disseminate what I'm now doing as a profession, but I'm really happy. So there's that aspect. I've got way too many stories to get into. I could tell you some shit, but I'm really excited about the new transition. It obviously frees up a lot of my free time so I can get back into podcasting on a consistent basis. So I'm excited about that. Gaming wise, I've been going through my backlog. I actually haven't bought a single new game in 2022. Not one.
We are in July now, sir.
Yeah,
you haven't bought a single new game.
Nope. I've been just diving into the backlog that was miles long. So,
right.
I just recently finished The Last of Us 2. Working on that.
What did you think about that? Last of Us 2?
I really enjoyed it. The ending, bit of a letdown, but it wasn't controversial. I would say it just kind of why. So again, I really liked The Last of Us 2. It's not quite as good as The Last of Us 1, but that's fine. It's still a really good game. What else did I beat before that? I beat Cyberpunk 2077 this year. I beat a couple of the Gears of War games. And now I'm currently getting into the Demon Souls on PS5. So,
Oh, you're diving in. You're diving into the hard ones.
yeah, dude, I actually got Demon Souls with my PS5 like when it launched, and it was still in the cellophane wrap until I opened it this week. So like,
So, have you ever dove into the Souls-like games?
yeah, I'm like comically bad at them. Like I'm at the very end of Bloodborne, but it's taking me like almost 7 years to get to that point in Bloodborne. Like I'll pick up my
So,
save every once in a while, and then like play it until I get frustrated. I'll put it down for months and then get back to it. I'm really liking Demon Souls though. It's fucking balls hard though. Completely like
yeah,
forgivingly
I think
hard.
people have said that Demon Souls is the hardest of them, but I think Sekiro, like, it challenges that title a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. Dude, I didn't like this genre at all. And then like a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago now, I really wanted to get into it. I'm like, I'm missing something. I got to understand why people are so in love with this series. And so I picked up Dark Souls 3, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I kind of get it, but I'm still just not about it. And then I fell into the Elden Ring hype this year. And dude, I absolutely love that game. And it wasn't until Elden Ring where I was like, now I get it. Now I
Okay.
understand.
Now with Elden Ring, I have a question about that. Like, how is it? Because it doesn't have an easy mode, correct?
It doesn't, no.
So is it forgiving to new players? Like what did they
It is.
change from the other Souls games? Where like if you're a new player or like, because where my biggest gripe with Souls games is like it's sometimes the combat is very unforgiving, where it's like
It's yes.
it will just punish you over and over and over and over again and until you get it right, which sure, but like it doesn't give you any type of feedback on like, okay, well, hey, try this or try that. Like the tutorials are very minimal, like
Yeah.
so like that's where my issue with them. But the thing that I love is like they create these like worlds that like they suck you in, like
Right. So I think that's where Elden Ring excels the most. And the best part about it though is that it's non-linear.
yeah.
So with the Souls games, there's a linear path and stage format that you have to follow,
Hmm.
right? With Elden Ring, if you run into a boss that you can't beat, or it's like ruining your morale of the game, and you're just kind of like feeling yourself like, I just don't feel like doing this again,
Yeah.
you can just leave and go somewhere else. You can leave, go somewhere else, maybe get a few more levels under your belt,
Hmm.
and then come back. So that, I think, is one of the biggest advantages that Elden Ring has over the other Souls games as far as difficulty. The other one, which makes it insanely easy, is you have spirit summons that you can get in Elden Ring.
Okay.
And this was essentially their answer to the easy mode, where people were complaining because the games are too hard, they're not accessible. There's a lot of sides that argument that I kind of see and kind of don't. Like I think developers should have the freedom to do whatever they want with their
Yeah.
games. But what I will say is your hold off with the Souls games, to anybody listening, is that they're too hard. The spirits make the game like half as hard, because what ends up happening is in Souls games, as you know, like when you get hit, it takes time to drink a potion or something.
Yeah.
A limited number of them. Well, that the whole game changes when you have a spirit summon that can distract the boss or
And while you
enemy
heal, yeah.
while you
Okay.
heal, or while you get around the backside and do some damage to it. That's the big plus to having spirit summons, and that's really what I would consider the easy mode of Elden Ring. Also, you can summon your friends in the game.
Okay, that's pretty
You
cool.
can summon them in, and you can fight against an enemy together. Like there was that famous story of the dude who, I'm sure you saw it was circulating all over the internet, who was outside the most powerful boss in the game.
Hmm.
He stood outside her door naked with nothing but two katanas and a jar on his head, and his name was Let Me Solo Her. So basically what you would do is you would summon him and he would fight her for you and kill her, because he had mastered this boss over and
Wow,
over and over again, and he became like this legendary player, and like they're talking about like adding him into the lore and whatnot, and it's a really cool story.
that's amazing.
But he did this like thousands and thousands of times. Like he must have sat at his computer all day long and just defeated this boss. Her name was Meliana in
What a
Elden Ring.
king.
But Yeah, and the thing with Elden Ring is that like, they really crafted this interesting world, one of the most interesting video game
Didn't
worlds.
George R. R. Martin help with the lore?
They say he did, but I really think his contribution was probably something like, here's an outline, see ya.
Yeah, I don't think
'Cause
he
it
like
doesn't.
wrote it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that happened.
It screams more FromSoft than it does. They didn't really ever go into how much he created with it. There's definitely a reference or two to Game of Thrones, but yeah, they really crafted probably the most interesting world I've seen since Xenoblade 2.
Okay,
So
that's high praise.
that's
I think From actually doesn't get enough credit for some of the stories they tell. Like the story of Bloodborne, I actually really, really like, despite like my lack of skill at it. Well, like I said, with Bloodborne, it plays fast, like, and maybe that was like a bad Souls game to start with because like it teaches you like you have to be aggressive, like you can't hang back. Where I'm noticing in Demon Souls, like it plays a little bit slower, like your movements have to be very calculated, and like using shields is something new I'm getting used to, where like some of these parries where like like an enemy will parry and like it'll knock your guy off balance, and he's like whoa, and then you're just gonna get tagged. I did kill the first boss on Demon Souls though, so we're making some progress.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Getting in there, grinding your way through it. I think after I actually didn't beat Elden Ring. I got to the fire giant and then I got distracted. I've always meant to go back. I think overall it actually made me a much better gamer than I was previously, and I kind of enjoyed that. And the fun thing about Elden Ring is there's so many builds that you can do, and you can build your character almost around anything. You can respec in the game a few times, but yeah, I've been wanting to get into Bloodborne so bad, dude.
Yeah, Bloodborne's
so
really.
bad,
It's oh well, you don't have a PS5, but if you did,
no,
it's free.
And the thing is that I don't want to boot up my PS4, and I don't really have a reason to buy a PS5 right now.
Well, you have a PS4 Pro, don't you?
Yeah, I have a PS4 Pro.
Yeah, I'm fine on that.
Yeah, I don't. But the thing is, like I said, I don't really want to boot it up. I don't really want to play on PS4 Pro. I'm kind of done with it, man. You know, and like it sucks to say because I love my PS4, but I'm just kind of over it. And like games run so much better on my PC, and I am literally begging Sony to give me a reason to buy a PS5, and they have not yet.
No, they haven't. Yeah, that's something that maybe we can get into a little bit later in the show if we have some time. But I feel like this generation's been like very, very funky. Like Demon Souls is probably one of the first PS5 games I've really been playing. Like I beat Miles Morales on PS5 finally, and then obviously Cyberpunk when the PS5 upgrade came out. But for the longest time, I was playing PS4 games on it. Like, so I'm like, did that generation actually really even end, or like it's kind of?
It doesn't feel like it. Does it? It doesn't really feel like it. The thing is that like it really feels like this generation could have been delayed until like this winter.
No, I agree.
I have no reason, man, to buy a PS5.
No,
I think my first reason is gonna be maybe God of War, depending on like the comparisons and how bad it runs on last gen.
Or you could wait to see when that's gonna come to PC. Like I have a feeling like that's gonna come to PC pretty directly after the console window, launches.
Actually, hold on. Is Crisis Core a PS5 exclusive?
No, Crisis Core is gonna be on Xbox too, which is strange.
Is it?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but
let me see here. It's up for pre-order. I can't believe that game comes out this winter.
I know. I'm excited.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So last week, it's PS5, Nintendo Switch. It's coming out for Switch.
They're putting that bitch on everything. I don't know how. Yeah. I'm assuming it's going to be cloud-based with Switch because that thing can't run anything.
There's a physical copy for it.
That's interesting.
So Square Enix finally pulled the curtain back on their Final Fantasy VII plans. Final Fantasy VII Remake came out in 2019?
2020.
It was the height of the pandemic. No, well, yeah. Like when everything shut down, and I had to buy 3 copies because I owed you one.
Yes,
he still asks about that to this day.
You got to tell him at some point.
I'm not gonna tell him. I'm not gonna tell him. He still asks about it to this day.
Take it to the grave, huh?
I want to leave that a mystery. I'm that guy.
That's awesome. I'm with you.
Wonder forever. But so I had to buy a copy for you.
Mm-hmm.
I had to buy a copy for me, and I had to get a copy digitally because I wasn't sure that I was going to be able. No, oh, and my other buddy Steve wanted me to get him a copy.
Mm.
So I bought a lot of copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to actually get it from GameStop. So I had one pre-ordered on Amazon, one at
That's a
GameStop,
mess.
and I had one digitally pre-ordered on PS4 at the last second because I saw everything was shutting down, and I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to get this thing. Thankfully, GameStop, being the scummy corporation that they were like, we're never shutting down. And that's what they remember. They lost their business license in PA.
Yeah, I remember they got some shit for that. It's funny because with Final Fantasy, I still have the sealed version you gave me. I never opened it because like
that's awesome.
I actually didn't think you were gonna come through on your bet, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just buy this digitally. So I have it, and
how dare you? That is rude, sir. I always come through.
So I bought it digitally, so I never actually opened it. And then I bought the PS5, the Intrograde, which actually have yet to freaking play. Like I played like an hour of it maybe, but like I haven't really played it.
I started it on PC, and so far on PC it's really good. So, but see, I'm wondering if I made a mistake though, because I don't think Rebirth isn't coming to PC, not right away.
Not right away, no.
And I'm wondering if things are going to carry over. They haven't really said.
I would be shocked if they didn't. Like, because like you're not about to start me as like level 1 Cloud on the second game. Like I'm not doing that.
It's going to be weird, right? Because it's going to be weird because we don't really know what's going to happen. But what did you think of the Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII reunion trailer? Announcement, honestly.
I was pretty stoked. Actually, funny story. I had just gotten home from work and I was sitting on the couch talking with a girlfriend and just watching the Square recap, just see what's coming. And then like I see Crisis Core get like announced. I'm like, and she's talking about something like, hey, I'm like, just shh for a minute, hold on, just stop talking, stop speaking, no more speaking. And then like I'm like watching the trailer, like and then it's all this winter. I'm so excited. Like I said, I messaged you. I'm like, Seth, I'm gonna need you to relax because I've had a feeling your hype was through the roof.
There's no relaxation, buddy. It's gone.
Yeah. So, is this game a remake?
No, it's not. So I'm actually watching the trailer right now, and they're definitely using the original voice lines and the original animations. Now, they have significantly retextured a lot of stuff and added a lot of new effects and lighting, and the game looks incredible. But what I will say is I noticed a few years ago, right before I moved out of the old house, I don't know if you remember this or not. Actually, I think you'd already moved out. I started playing Crisis Core again on an emulator on PC. And I noticed that when you up-resed it and added a bunch of filters and whatnot, the game actually looked pretty modern.
Really?
Yeah, the game held up really well with like up-resing. So I think that's a lot of what this game is. But like I said, you can tell when you watch like the trailer that they added a significant amount of new textures and effects, and the animations look super clean. So I'm really excited for it. Plus, I mean, this game has been stranded on PSP forever.
Right, I agree. I think that like when I first saw the trailer, I like saw it looked like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like it looks almost very. So I was like, oh shit, did they remake Crisis Core? Like, so I'm excited for it. I actually never. I don't remember even beating Crisis Core. I remember getting to the famous part where Zach's like, oh, the price of freedom. Well,
that's the end.
I don't think I don't remember finishing it though. So
the final battle. Are you kidding me?
Listen, you know how it was back then. You just get distracted. But anyway, I was pretty hyped, and then when they announced the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I was all in the hype train. I'm like, I'm so ready for this because the original Final Fantasy VII Remake, I loved it. Like I originally was not a Final Fantasy VII guy, and then but I went in with an open mind and just fell in love with that game because I could not believe Square got it right. Like I was waiting for them to fuck it up, I was completely ready for them to fuck it up. I had accepted they were going to fuck it up, and
As we got used to as Square
yeah,
fans, right?
and then they just didn't, and I'm just like, how did you do this so well? Because I
Yeah,
still, but here's the thing, like I still don't trust Tetsuya Nomura. Like, I just
me
don't.
either.
And like I still struggle to trust Square. I think I'm as just like a traumatized Square Enix fan at this point. But like I'm still really excited for what they're doing.
Well, see, the thing is that like, yes, Final Fantasy VII remake was fantastic, but there's still some like Tetsuya Nomura fuckery going on there, right?
Yeah,
Like there's some like time travel shenanigans and whatnot, and we don't really know what's happening with the story.
they
And
were bold with this. Like they a very bold
yes,
move.
yes, but like the thing that I think is hilarious is that people watch. So you beat Final Fantasy VII, the original one, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so the funny thing I think about this is that people watch this Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer and don't understand what's happening. They're like, "Why is Cloud walking with Sephiroth at Nibelheim?" And I'm like, "You guys are so dumb. You're so dumb." Because like you understand, I'm sure you understand what's happening with that, right?
yeah.
Like because there's the whole Zack thing coming out this
Hmm.
winter, and then Rebirth comes out next year, and they're like people that I'm like listening to that are like really smart and know Final Fantasy are still thrown off by this, and I'm like, no, it's clearly not. It's clearly not Cloud.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying, you know?
That's what I was like, okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, dude, I can't wait. I was actually on my drive to training, like the commute's like an hour or so.
Mhm.
And the Final Fantasy VII remake soundtrack is top notch.
Oh, it's amazing.
It slaps, dude. Like it's some of the remixes of songs or just some of the reimaginings of songs are so good. Where I just like it, just like I was listening to it, I'm like, man, fuck, I want to play this game again. So
Hmm.
potentially Final Fantasy VII remake might be on the docket for me to play through again because I kind of want to get the platinum, but we shall see.
So, Final Fantasy VII Remake was one of those games that was ruined for me based on the point in time that I was in my life. And I was like super sad when I played it, and I did not enjoy it as much as I should
Yeah,
have.
you went through like a breakup,
Um,
didn't you?
yeah,
Yeah,
a really bad one. Yeah. And it just, and when you're in a state of mind like that and you're like forcing yourself to try and do stuff,
yeah. No,
it's
I
not,
hear you.
you can't enjoy something. And it's happened to me before where these games have just been ruined. And I know like I enjoyed it, but replaying it on PC is just it's the way to go, man, because there's a lot of cool stuff you can do, and I want to play through Yuffie's story. I'm really glad they released it on PC,
Yeah.
because of course I don't have a PS5 because I don't have a reason to.
No, you're really not missing much. Like I remember, I got my PS5 day one because that's again traditional gamer. That's what you're supposed to do. You get it. You're
Mhm,
in day one,
mhm.
and I really didn't even touch it, like because like the PS4 was in the living room, and then I have a game room like set up in the basement with my PS4 Pro, and like there was nothing on PS5 that came out, so I'm like, well, I'm just gonna play my PS4 down here. So I beat Trails of Cold Steel and all that down there. But yeah, I remember the first time like they had my attention though with the PS5 is when they announced that Intrograde. I'm like, oh, and it came with a nice steel book. And you know me, I love a good steel book.
Yes, yes.
But my only issue with Intergrade is like I suck as Yuffie. I like die all the time playing as Yuffie. I'm like,
Oh, really?
I'm like really bad at it. So it's like that was partially why the reason I put it down. I'm like, wow, I might actually suck at this. Let's put this down for a minute.
So, one thing I think is really interesting is that I actually came under the assumption that they were just going to make Crisis Core not canon, because I don't know if you know this or not, because I know you weren't really into Final Fantasy VII. They never actually finished the story of Final Fantasy VII. They were setting up what appeared to be a sequel game
Hmm.
with Genesis, and they never finished it. So what I'm wondering is if, because like Final Fantasy VII Remake is clearly not a remake.
No, it's a reimagining, I would say.
It's a remake slash sequel is what it appears to be. We haven't really gotten confirmation of it. what I'm wondering is if like Genesis is behind all this tomfuckery,
That'd be cool.
because they were setting up a sequel game and they never. Well, I guess technically Dirge of Cerberus is a sequel, but not really. But they never actually followed through with that, because like the Genesis scene is in the post-credit scene of Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I don't know if that's their plan. If they're finally like, yo, actually, it's been
It would make sense. I
38
mean,
years.
it would make sense. Like, you fucking put all that time to research and develop that. Might as well use it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I really love the direction they're taking Final Fantasy VII, because I thought when they announced Remake, I'm like, you're really just gonna remake the original game, and like it's not gonna be turn based. People are gonna be all butthurt, but like when you could, like, very early on playing Remake, you can tell this isn't like, hold on, I don't remember that happening, or that didn't happen quite that way. I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing here. Like they're taking some liberties, and I thought initially when I first saw it, I'm like, oh no, people are gonna have meltdowns about this. There's gonna be like
Right.
Whole threads of just pure rage. Like, this might get Diablo Immortal hate. Like, this might like, we might be there. But then as you go through the game, it just takes you on a ride, and like and I think they fleshed out a lot of other characters too, like with Jessie, top choice.
Amazing character.
Yeah, and she has like no significance in the original game, really. So it's kind of like I am so excited, especially with Crisis Core, because like I'm assuming that's just going to be a carbon copy remaster of that. Like, I don't know if they're going to take any liberties there.
That's what it appears to be, yeah.
Yeah, because
but we don't know. Like,
that's exciting.
We have no idea, because they're like, is it just a complete remaster?
Right.
Because now all of a sudden, spoiler alert, Zach lives in Final Fantasy VII,
right?
And we don't really understand why that happened.
I've never seen a character, one guy, throw a wrench in so much stuff. Like, he was the ultimate curveball. Like, when Zach appears, you're like, oh, like, it's like one of those moments in gaming where like it holds so much weight.
Mm-hmm.
and you wouldn't think that you would think like a character like Zach is so, like, he's known, but like I don't think he's like, if you show a picture of him to like a casual Final Fantasy fan, they're not gonna know who that is.
No, they're gonna be like, well, that's Black-haired Cloud,
right? So I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, it's nice, man, because as Final Fantasy fans, we are feasting right now, right?
Oh my god, dude, it's a renaissance. We might be back.
We might be back. We got Final Fantasy 14 killing it, right?
I gotta get back into that.
You have to. You have the best part of the game in front of you.
Dude, I think I actually bought Endwalker recently, actually.
Oh, did you? Just let me know, bud. I'm in there with you. I'm in. Now, I haven't played in a long time, so I'm going to be rusty, but...
Well, I heard you could actually even solo the whole game now.
Not the whole game. So they've come really close. So you can now solo all of A Realm Reborn. You can solo all of Shadow Walker and all of Endwalker.
Wow.
But you can't solo all of Heaven's Ward and Stormblood yet. So those two are still coming. But yeah, it's really exciting that they're making it a single player game, because the story is so good, and a lot of people just don't want to play with people. That's the thing. Yeah, and there's no real reason to.
Right, but I mean, I think with 14 definitely, and then some of the stuff they had even been doing with remastering some of their older games, like 12 coming out and 10 getting remastered. I think them adding the 13 series to Game Pass was a smart move. Even though I think those games need to be... Well, no, they still look good. I think you can actually just release those games now and they look fine. But
it's weird how good they look, actually. It's like they came out when I was in high school, and those games hold up extremely well. Yeah. It's really weird. And you know what? I'll say it until the day I die. That trilogy is not as bad as people make it.
I think that might be hint one of a retrospective that Alpha Nerds ends up doing. I think we got to do a 13 series deep dive.
I think we do too. Because that series...
First, folks.
I loved the second and third games. The first game, I think, is the weakest of the trilogy, but a lot of people would think the third game is the weakest of the trilogy. But I actually,
even on this, I've actually never played the other two, and I never beaten 13. So I've always gotten right to the end. But back to the original topic, like, I think Square right now, because we'll just dive right into it. Final Fantasy 16 hype train is Whew. I saw those trailers. I'm like, yes. All of that.
So we have Final Fantasy VII Reunion
Mm-hmm.
coming out this winter.
And is
Final
that
Fantasy 6,
is that the Crisis Core thing?
yes.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 16 then comes out spring. Is that what it is? Spring?
Yeah. I think it's spring 2023.
Yeah. And then Final Fantasy VII Reunion, or sorry, Rebirth. All these R words.
Yeah.
Is coming out in the winter again.
Yeah.
So we are eating well as Final Fantasy fans right now, and I'm wondering. And obviously, it's too early to make this assumption, but I'm wondering if Square Enix has finally realized that the Western game market wasn't like they bought Eidos and these other Western studios, right? And they were trying to make like a really strong foothold in the Western development, but the Western fans did not want that from Square Enix. The only thing everyone wanted from Square Enix was more RPGs.
Yeah.
And they complained about it forever. And I'm wondering if because there's no way like the Tomb Raider series didn't make Square Enix profit, right? I mean,
Yeah,
there's no way.
and those were good games. So it's like
They're great games. But I'm wondering because they saw, Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers, and they're probably like,
I thought Guardians of the Galaxy is
maybe.
a good game.
It's a great game. They did not market it well enough. That was Square Enix's 100% fault. But I'm wondering if now we can finally get back to like the meat and potatoes, right?
I think so. And
we're just like,
and here's the thing
get it
about
done.
Square that like drives me nuts, like because like that point you just made about like they wanted all the sales and wanted a strong foothold and stuff didn't sell well. So, but in the same token, during that time period, they would do stupid shit where Tomb Raider is disappointment, but you mean to tell me that game did not sell World of Final Fantasy? Like, so are we in the same expectation base here? Because like I love the World of Final Fantasy, I did, but like is it better than Tomb Raider? No. Like,
right.
So how does this game get to exist? Or you'll put out Stranger of Paradise, which whatever that game, but like just you'll put that out, but then like Guardians wasn't good. Like, come on, Square. Like that's something that like that's you get a whiff of old Square Enix there. You're like, don't like that. But yeah, I think I agree with you. Like they're getting back to the meat and potatoes. And the other thing people need to start accepting is turn-based RPGs are dead, not happening, dead.
Oh, see, I don't know if I agree with you. I think the big ones are. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Final Fantasy 17, but
dead.
Things like Octopath Traveler and I Am Setsuna.
Yeah,
those games are really good, and that's I think the big reason Square made the Tokyo RPG Factory,
right,
was so that you can get these smaller
and shut up these old heads.
Chrono Trigger-esque experiences, and you can have the best of both worlds.
Right.
And like. The thing is they added that turn-based mode in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
It makes that game awful. You can't. I can't.
I was one of these people for a long time that was all about like, it needs to be turn-based, and it's like I didn't play that.
Yeah, no.
I wanted nothing to do with the turn-based mode in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I saw Cloud hit an Omni slash, in live combat. I'm like, okay. I'm about it. The only thing with these live combat systems that like I've always found an issue with was using magic. I think they haven't quite figured that out yet, because like using magic even in Kingdom Hearts is kind of like it's like still very cumbersome.
When Kingdom Hearts comes up, that needs to be its own episode, because I refuse. But I hear you might not be out of Kingdom Hearts. You might be in on Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yeah, I'm like intermittently replaying 3. Like by intermittently I mean like I have to be extremely bored. Like I beat the first level or the first world. I'm like, all right. Like I don't hate it, but I just remember like the reason like we flew through that game and kind of left it. We're like, oh. And then like,
dude, we beat that game the same night, and I was just like, I did not enjoy my time with this game.
Yeah, and then I bought the DLC and then got like lost my save and like just donated $30. I'm like, well.
And dude, that DLC was criminal. That was awful. I don't understand what they were thinking putting that DLC, because It adds nothing. And but there's like it's like a slight difference on the ending, but then there's like, oh, you can fight, the 13 bosses or whatever, and I
Yeah,
don't care.
I think I think we need to definitely do our own episode on Kingdom Hearts 3, or just Kingdom Hearts in general.
Even,
That whole franchise.
Omni Blade or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was
the Omega Blade. No,
it was terrible. But yeah, so.
But then we got Final Fantasy 16 coming in the summer.
I can't wait.
What's our gut check on 16?
It's gonna be a banger. That's a banger. Isn't the director from 14 like all up in that?
Yes.
The man who saved 14, not whoever the original asshole was.
The man who saved 14 is the director on this game, which it does not surprise me why it's coming out this summer, like a year from now, because he gets it done.
Yeah.
GP gets it done.
Yeah, that's what happens when you put adults in charge. And I believe I've scheduled, or I'm going to schedule, like probably like 3 or 4 days off when this game comes out, just to get up in there.
That's a good idea, because I actually get a boost in vacation this year.
Oh yeah.
So I think I'm gonna do the same thing. I think I might take a couple days off when this game comes out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have like almost 600 hours of vacation time because I'm a workaholic. But when certain video games come out, like world stops. Got to play some video games.
World stops. Yeah. So what I think is really cool about Final Fantasy 16, I don't know if you got the same vibe, but it seems like this game kind of has the best of both worlds. Like, it's got really cool looking combat, and I'm watching the trailer again right now, and I think what I'm seeing is when the summons fight, it appears like it might be turn-based.
Well, I was reading that some of them might be turn-based. Another one, like, it might be like almost like a grappling match, like you're wrestling. Like, so some of the fights are going to be very, very different as far as like how the gameplay is going to go, which is very exciting.
Oh, I see. Huh. Yeah, because I'm watching the trailer right now, and man, this game is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm gonna have to get the PS5 when this comes out, because this might be the game that turns it around.
If it stays exclusive, for sure, yeah, I would be in on that, because like I don't know, just I think this is like the first. Nah, I'd be lying if I said this is like the second Final Fantasy going into it where I'm like really excited. Like I was on the hype train for 15, but definitely on the hype train for 16. I'm in.
I am as well. And the story looks really good. I love that we're playing as a red mage. Have we gotten a red mage?
No, not since yet? I can't. Not that I can recall. What was I gonna say? I hear they're shooting for an M rating on this one.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to Sacred Symbols, and yeah, they were discussing how like this and Dragon Quest are shooting for like mature content. So
Dragon Quest.
Yeah. The new Dragon Quest is supposed to be like dark as fuck.
I was all about Dragon Quest 11. I loved it.
I gotta play it still.
It's too long, and it has like an Bravely Default thing going on where you redo stuff over and over again.
Oh,
but
God.
The combat was really good. Now that is where I draw the line and say, like, turn-based combat might not be dead, because Dragon Quest does it so good. And you know who else does it really good? Persona 5.
Oh.
Persona 5's turn-based combat was amazing. It almost felt like a quick time event.
Yeah, I agree there. What was I gonna say with 16? So just to kind of put a bow on that, heading into 2023, like I think finally for the first time in probably 10 years, that the Final Fantasy brand is like in a really healthy, vibrant state right now.
I agree. It feels like 2000 again, right? Where we're just getting Final Fantasy game after Final Fantasy game. And here's the other thing I wanted your gut check about. Here's the other thing. How do you feel about the Final Fantasy 9 remake?
I gotta see it. I gotta see it.
Yeah.
I gotta see what you're gonna do. I gotta see. Is it like a It can't be a remaster, because they just did that, right?
I don't know. Well, no, I don't think I think they kind of just up-resed it and threw it on PC.
Yeah, like I gotta see what they're gonna do. Like, because that could be make or break for me. Because I think Final Fantasy 9 is actually the best PS1 of the PS1 trilogy, like,
Hmm.
and I think the story's done really well, and the characters are not. I mean, they could definitely use a little bit more fleshing out, but overall, like, I think that game it's pretty good. So, like, to remake it, like, I don't know if I could do a Final Fantasy VII remake where we're just gonna start taking liberties. Like, I don't know if that's gonna hit well with me if you do that to 9, like,
Hmm.
because that's gonna be tough. But I would definitely be open to it. Because I think you can definitely do some more with some characters like Zidane. Like, I think you could definitely give me a little more with him, and then with Kuja too. Like, that relationship and that world. I think is very much ripe to be like an open, not I wouldn't say fully open world, but like a quasi open world. Where you can explore a little more, and then I think it needed more post game content. So, like, there's definitely some stuff you can do at Final Fantasy IX, but overall, like, I don't know if that would be on me in a personal level received as well if they Final Fantasy VII remake style it, where they start taking liberties and changing a bunch of shit. Like, I don't think you can do that with that game.
So the reason I ask though is because the game is clearly coming. It's on the Nvidia leak, and that has been proven to be true at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, we're getting everything from the Nvidia leak, and things like you would never think to get, like the Chrono Cross remake, right?
right.
The Final Fantasy IX remake is on there, and I'm wondering when we're probably going to see it. I'm not sure.
Okay, speaking of Chrono Cross, how do you feel about that?
I hated it. I really did. I was it was one of the most heartbreaking moments in video game for me. Like that was bad.
Yeah, I
And
couldn't
it's just like
believe that.
it didn't have to be. Now there was, let me see, because I haven't checked in a while. There was like a vibrant modding community that was like trying to fix that, but I don't think.
But why is it Square
I think it's
fixing
pretty
it?
much
Like,
dead. Yeah, there's like a background upscale project going on that was updated last in May. Um, it's just not. There hasn't been any mods released in the last 30 days. It's just. I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be fixed at this point, and that's really sad
but
because
uh,
this was like the chance for the Chrono series to come back, and these guys completely botched it, and it
yeah,
that hurt, you know. But also, I'm at a point with Chrono Cross where I'm like, I don't know that I ever need to play it again. Like, I've kind
no.
of mastered this game, and I've kind of just seen everything this game has to offer. And this might be a game I revisit in like 5 to 10 years,
Yeah,
right? Because I was playing through the Radical Dreamers edition, and I was like, I just played through this like
yeah,
a year and a half or 2 years ago, and I'm just like, I don't know, it doesn't hold the same magic when you do it constantly, you
yeah.
know.
Shout out to the Pierre fan club. But for me, like, when I saw that the game was bad, like it was a bad port, I'm like, I thought of you immediately. But it also raises questions for me with Square, and this is again what leads to that slight level of distrust. Is like, this is the second time they've brought something back, minus Final Fantasy VII. So, like, if we're going like record win losses, right? Like, we'll take Chrono Cross, Secret of Mana, and then Final Fantasy VII Remake. And right now we're one for two. Like, so, like, because again, Secret of Mana, they redid it and it wasn't great. It wasn't great.
No,
It was very average. And then the Radical Dreamers, Chrono Cross, they completely botched that. Like, so you have that Square also with they hit a home run with Remake. So it's like, it makes me nervous about Nine's remake. Like, yeah, like, you know.
yeah,
So, we'll see. But I definitely felt pain for you with that Chrono Cross
that one
botch,
that one
because
that one did sting, man. That one stung a lot.
yeah, because like, it leads you to not trust him. Like, could you imagine if they did that to Chrono Trigger? Oh God,
But
people.
you know what? I felt it coming. Like, I felt a disturbance in the force with the Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers edition, because like, you guys probably didn't, like, people didn't see me talking about it very often.
I
Very
remember,
much.
like, famously, you did not talk about it. You
Yeah,
you,
and I
you went
was like,
Superman mode with it, because I remember you did
I
this.
I I felt a disturbance, and because I wasn't that excited for it, and I was like, I don't know why I'm not that excited for it, because I should be like super hyped, but I wasn't, and I think I had a premonition that they were gonna screw this one up. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, it's hard to tell what Square you're gonna get, 90% of the time, because they did this before with the ports where they brought like the phone ports to Steam,
Oh
like
yeah,
Final Fantasy 6 and whatnot, and that was a huge deal.
yeah, that was a botch.
They keep screwing stuff up.
Yeah, speaking of, aren't those Pixel remakes still not on console?
No, they weren't even announced for console.
Yeah, like what the.
Ridiculous, right? Absolutely
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, so again, like I said, we could spend probably 4 or 5 episodes just bitching about Square, and like,
Oh, you could dedicate an entire podcast series to like Square Enix and trying to decipher what happened to Square Enix in like 2002.
right?
Because like what dude, I think the pinned tweet on my Twitter profile is like, why aren't game journalists investigating what happened to Square Enix in 2002 when they merged with Enix, and why their whole company completely went to shit. Like since they merged with Enix, Square has made bad decision after bad decision and completely lost their groove when it comes to development. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I feel like I think to tie a bow on this and box it up for this episode, I think they might be on their way back to the top as far as like the RPG mountain. So
last thing, when do we get our money back for the Final Fantasy trading card game? One of the legendary
I don't know.
taken.
I don't know that I don't know, because I really do love my collection of Final Fantasy trading cards. But yeah, we definitely got swindled on that, thinking that was going to be huge when we came back, and we only ever found like 6 packs in total around here. But they were everywhere in Boston, man. They were everywhere.
One of the legendary L's in Alpha Nerd history is fucking the Final Fantasy.
I have a huge wooden box, man. I have a huge wooden box that is packed full of Final Fantasy trading cards.
They're in the basement here.
I have like the rarest one. I have the Zach Fair Hall full art one. It's like the rarest card they have in the set, and it's like, okay, well, this is worthless.
Maybe not. They're actually worth a fair amount of money.
Are they really?
Yeah. I don't have the time to go through my collection that's sitting in the basement in a bin somewhere where it's like fucking. God damn it. Square. So I have something I got to get off my chest. So
hit me, bud.
We were talking, pre-show about, some of the things we're going to discuss today. And, we're on the topic of RPGs. And recently I tried to get the Xenoblade 3 Special Edition, and fucking Nintendo. Like,
yeah.
If anyone who wants to ever get Nintendo anything, I recommend you follow Wario64 on Twitter. Those of you who guys are not following him, you want to, because he tweets links to sales or even glitches sometimes that you can get things for really cheap, which don't know how legal that is, but neither here nor there. But he tweeted that like, hey, Final Fantasy, the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Special Edition is up now. It's on Nintendo's website, and he provided a link. It was up for 10 minutes. I'm like, fuck, gotta get in there, because famously, when anything's up for an hour, you ain't getting it. Like, if that link was tweeted an hour ago, not happening for anybody. So you got to get in there. And already there was a waiting line. Like, you had the way it worked is you clicked on the link, and Nintendo's like, oh, we're experiencing a lot of traffic on our website right now. Here's get in the queue, and whatever you do, don't leave the page, because if you leave the page, you go to the back of the line. So 7 hours later, I see my computer screen finally update. I'm like, oh, is it time? Did we make it?
I'm sorry, you said 7 hours later?
Oh, I said 7 hours.
Oh my god.
Yeah, 7 hours later, out of stock. And this leads me to my point where, like, Nintendo, why would you use one retailer, which is yourself,
yeah, and
make it so these are going to get scalped? Like, these are going to be hard to find. Like, why did you do this? Why? And it's like I was telling you earlier, it frustrates me because I got the Xenoblade 2 Special Edition.
I know, the white whale for me.
I got the Xenoblade 1 Special Edition, but now I'm gonna have the stupid regular dumb box for the third one. I'm like, I'm not going on eBay and paying these prices. I'm not doing it. But
The
like,
Xenoblade 2 special edition's like going sky high, isn't it?
yeah, and it's just like,
It's hurting me. I should have bought it. And it hurts so bad.
and it's one of those things, man. Like, why do we tolerate this from certain companies? Like, why do we
Nintendo gets away with it a lot.
why do we tolerate it with them? Like, I don't know why we tolerate just backwater, asinine, like stupidity at a Nintendo, and it's just like, it's frustrating because, like, I'm a grown adult, freaking 32 years old here, and I want to give you my money. I want to provide compensation for this product you are offering, but now you tell me like I can't get it because it's a limited quantity. Like it's a special edition. I'm special.
Yes.
Let me buy it.
Yeah, you are special, buddy. You are special.
So it's just like, I don't get it, man. And and you see it happen all the time. Like, some Play Arts figures go stupidly hard to find. Like, PS5s are still getting scalped. Xbox Series X's you still can't. Like, I've never seen one in the wild. So like, how is it that as gamers we fucking tolerate this shit?
I don't know, man, and I don't know that there's ever been a solid answer for it other than Sony's raffle. Like, because Sony does their raffle where it's like,
Yeah.
you go in, you get the email, oh, hey, you have a certain amount of time to buy this, like, here's your spot. That's the only good way I've come up with that gets rid of like these bots and these scalpers.
Yeah, but like, isn't that crazy?
Because,
Like, here's a raffle. You have the privilege of giving me $500. Thank you.
yes. Well, the thing is that this has now invaded every industry, because I think the biggest downside, or the biggest reason for this, is that nerd culture went mainstream, right? I mean, this has been an issue with shoes and concerts and sports games forever.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's an issue with gaming and like nerd culture because it's more well known and people have figured out that they can make a lot of money off this.
It's disgusting.
I mean, think about our former employer, right? They were not fans of gaming at all, but they knew that they could go to yard sales and get used games and then resell them for a higher profit, and they made a whole business out of it.
Yeah. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
It was a disastrous business, but a business nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that is exactly what's happening. Like, the people just figured out that they can make a lot of money, and they're getting scalped. And I don't have an answer other than, yeah, maybe the raffle is the best way, because people are just getting outdone by robots, and they're always going to get outdone by robots because, that's just what they do.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. It's just like, that's the worst thing that has happened in this generation. And, now that we're on the topic, probably just get into it. Where like, this generation of console gaming has been brutal. Like, there have been iterations on consoles that don't make a whole lot of sense. Like with Switch, like, they updated Switch. Oh, we have an OLED model now, but like, they didn't really go
I can't
about.
believe you bought that.
Yeah. Because I thought like, yeah, well, and I've had my Switch since launch. Let me get a new Switch, and then like, it didn't like. Well, that screen's okay. It's not improved performance by any stretch of the imagination. So I was like,
yeah,
it's just like, not. I feel like I'm not getting my money's worth. Or I'm like, right now I'm in my living room staring at my Xbox One X, like, from last console. Like, I bought that thing and immediately, like, I wish I would have known like a year later it's going to be outdated. Like. But like, in the same token, like, I have that One X. I have no reason to buy a Series X because there's literally nothing that's come out that like, oh, I need to upgrade, or even a Series S. Like, there's no reason for it.
My thing is that I don't know that I'm ever gonna have a reason to buy an Xbox now.
No, not with a gaming PC. No way.
Now the gaming PC and like the cloud gaming, I mean, when Halo came out, I played Halo exclusively on my phone with my Razer Kishi, and I was playing multiplayer through the cloud, and I was fine. I was completely able to be competitive at it. So I don't know, man. I feel like with Xbox that problem is solved. I don't need to buy an Xbox, and I don't think I ever will. But PlayStation,
Yeah.
these guys are killing me.
Yeah, but there's no reason to buy a PS5 right now. Like I cannot. There's no game I could sit here and tell you, like, Seth, you need to buy a PS5 immediately. Like, what are you gonna play? Returnal? Like, what are you gonna play? Like, Ghostwire Tokyo, Deathloop. Um, even like Horizon, the Forbidden West. Um, like people like it, but it's definitely not being as well received as the original Horizon. And I think Sony's going to continue to run into this problem where people expect way more out of some of these sequels. So like it's just this weird time in gaming where, like, again, my PS5, like, I predominantly play PS4 games on it. So it's just kind of like, or my Xbox One X cloud gaming nonsense. Like, I haven't played anything that's new. Like, I'm replaying through the Gears of War series, or I'm playing just older games on that. Like Halo Infinite was probably the newest game I played. So it's just kind of it's just a weird time for gaming, and I think, like, we're not really getting. I don't feel like so we're getting our money's worth. And it's a weird feeling to have where, like, finally now I'm going into my backlog, and, like, I feel fine. Like, I feel like I'm not missing anything.
So the question really is, Pedro, when are you gonna break and buy that collector's edition on eBay?
I just can't justify it. Like, it just. And here's the thing:
You're
I
gonna
have
one hole in your collect. One hole. You're gonna have one hole.
dude. It's just like it's. It would have to be the right price. Like, it right now it retails MSRP for $89.99. So maybe the most I'm willing to pay for that might be like $150. But other than that, I'm not paying no $400-$500 for that. Like,
Did you check GameStop?
there's no GameStop in my area. They bit the dust.
The Lewisburg one, I think, is still there, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's like 40 minutes out of the way.
Oh, still from you?
Yeah.
A lot closer.
No, I would have to go to St. Clair, and I don't want to go there.
That's the best GameStop in the area now.
That's
That's the only good one left.
unfortunate.
Because you would think the one up near me is good.
I thought that one was all IP.
The other one in the State College, in the home of the Lions.
Oh, they suck. Yeah, that place sucks.
That one is terrible. That one's terrible. The only good one left is in Lewisburg. So.
Wow. But yeah, it's just unfortunate because, like, I ran into the same problem with Shin Megami Tensei 5. It's just it's specifically Nintendo games. So, like,
oh, you know what? Me and you never talked about SMT5. What did you think of it?
Do you want me to, like, give you my honest opinion, or you want me to?
Yeah, no, I want your honest opinion. I haven't heard, like, anybody talking about it.
Well, I played about 5 hours and I was out.
Was it what I predicted was going to happen? They personified it.
Yes and no. The game just runs like crap. Like, that's just my problem with it. Like, it's this big open world, and you're running around as the Nahabino, and like, and it runs at like 30 frames a second. It's choppy. Like, and what the problem is like, they, like, as you know, mainline SMT is very grind heavy. It's very very no nonsense. Like, either you're grinding or this boss is gonna fucking kick your shit in. Like, that's what's happening. And which is fine, but, like, they don't make, like, that world isn't interesting enough to, like, make me want to run around and get into battles. It's just like this big sandy, desolate world, but, like, it's not interesting. Like, nothing interesting happens in that world. So, like,
right.
I beat the first boss, I think, and then just was kind of, like, done with it. Like, I'm like, this is boring to me. So, like, and it's unfortunate because I was, like, on the hype train for SMT5. I was all about SMT5, and I'm one of the biggest mainline SMT fans you'll run into. But
yes,
I think what happened to me is, like, when I started playing it, I got a very Strange Journey feeling from it, and, like, I hate Strange Journey, where, like, and it's one of those things, like, you ever play a game and you have that moment where you're just like, this isn't for me, where you just take that big, you're just like, Like, and that's when you know you're done.
Dude, I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna really hurt, but the game that did that to me was Cold Steel 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like I got to Cold Steel 4, and the end of Cold Steel 3 is like super like
I didn't realize you even finished Cold
hyped
Steel
up.
3.
Yeah, it's like super hyped up, and like you go through, and then Cold Steel 4 happens, and the beginning's like it's like really interesting, and then you get to their first town, and the dialogue starts, and I'm just like, yeah, here we go again, huh? And I'm just like, I don't know, man.
Dude, that's sad because 4 is a banger. 4 is like a
I know,
banger. But I think
and
that
like
I think you have fatigue. I think if you go back maybe like a year from now, I don't know when the last time you touched it was. Like give it time, let it breathe. And when you go back, you're gonna be like, oh
Mhm.
fuck yeah.
And actually, I think if I remember correctly, I might be imagining this, but I pre-ordered that Reen statue,
Yeah.
and I think I just let the pre-order lapse because there's one in stock, and I'm sure that was mine that I let lapse. It's $200, and after I played started Cold Steel 4, because I pre-ordered this after I beat 3, and
Yeah.
I started 4, and I'm just like, no. I don't think I can, man. Like $200 is a lot for a game that I'm just not feeling, and I just because Cold Steel 4's got a really interesting plot, but the dialogue heaviness of it, and like it's the dialogue that goes nowhere, that drives me absolutely insane in that game. You know what I'm talking about? Like the
Yeah.
dialogue that's like all plot building, like this character that has no relevance in the story whatsoever is talking about how she lost her cat, and I'm like, dude, I just like the world's at stake, and like I'm trying to get going, but like it forces you to sit through this, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do
Yeah.
this, man.
And dude, yeah, it sucks because like that game it's like the final part of an arc. So
Yes,
it's
I know,
like
and I've suffered through what 300 hours now
yeah.
of these games. I'm not gonna like I haven't given up on 4 yet, but I've decided that like that's a game that I'm gonna hit when it's time.
Yeah,
When I've
you got
had
to take
enough
a break. There's sometimes you
of a
got to take a
gap,
break.
and I've taken quite a substantial break, but that is a game that, man, that developer loves to drag their feet with storytelling. That is for sure. Because
And you got to think like there's still 2 more arcs we haven't gotten yet. Like there's
yeah,
the Crossbell arc that we're getting. I think September we get the first one, Trails of Zero or something like one of the we get one of them, and then so we're getting the Crossbell games, and then we are getting the Calvard arc, the
yes,
Chrono Kiseki, and then we still haven't even gotten like that Erebonia arc ends with Cold Steel 4, but then there's this filler arc, like it's a fucking anime, like where it's that Trails in the Reverie,
yeah,
which I famously bought the PS4 Japanese edition because I thought like, oh, I'm smart, I got this. No, I beat the first
yeah.
boss and I was like, nah, I can't do this.
No. See, the thing is, though, dude, is that I really do feel like the best way to approach that series would have been to cut out all the nonsense. 1 and 2 could have been one game, and
Yeah.
3 and 4 could have been one game. I really feel like that, and I think I would have enjoyed those games a lot more had those happened. Now, I really did enjoy 3 a lot. I think mainly because of like the updated graphics and animations,
Mm-hmm.
and it ran a lot smoother than 1 and 2. But I think overall, I think so far 2 has been my favorite of the series. Um,
2 and
but
4 for
Pedro,
me.
I got
Yes.
I got something I need to talk about now because I'm sick of it.
All right. What do you got for me?
So, as you know, I am a huge D&D fan.
Yes.
All right, and Baldur's Gate takes place in the D&D universe. It's a D&D based game. It is currently in production of its 3rd game, Baldur's Gate 3. All right. These motherfuckers at Larian Studios opened this game up for early access in 2020. Now, this is an RPG, early access RPG. Okay. What? And so their early access period started in 2020. It allowed the first arc of the game to be played, and they have added almost nothing to the game since then. So I've been waiting for 2 years to buy this game because I've been waiting for like a significant patch or something that'll be like, okay, cool. The issue is that your save data gets erased every single time they update the game.
Are you kidding me?
It's unusable. Yes, it's unusable. So
that's disgusting.
Yeah, this is why I haven't bought it yet, and they haven't. They were like, oh, we'll probably have a full release sometime in 2023. So they're gonna let this game go in early access for 3 years.
Wow.
And the only thing they've added to the game thus far is like some extra content, like as far as like abilities go, and I think the Bard and Barbarian class.
That's disgusting.
It for 2 years. And I'm like, what are we doing here, man? Because all I want to do is
play some Baldur's Gate, man.
Because, dude, if you look at like the like trailers and whatnot, the game looks incredible. It looks like the Western RPG we've been waiting for since, Dragon Age died, and I don't think Elder Scrolls 6 is coming this decade. So
no, you got Elder Scrolls Online. You're good. You don't need any more Elder Scrolls.
Don't even bring up Elder Scrolls Online because that game's disgusting. I cannot stand Elder Scrolls Online. I love Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls Online is not a replacement in any way, shape, or form. It's not the same.
So that's what I was telling you before the show. Like I don't like early access. Like I think it's it's not okay. I get why they do it. Like you want feedback on how certain features like happen, but like famously wasn't like PUBG in early access for years.
I think the most famous version of early access was Ark Survival Evolved.
Yeah,
because those guys announced an expansion while their game was still in early access, hadn't even had a full release yet. But yeah, dude, it's crazy because I just want to get in there and like play through a really cool Baldur's Gate D&D story, and I can't. I refuse to get in there and play one act and have my save file erased. And
yeah, it's disgusting.
Because what it reminds me of? The demo for Final Fantasy VII Remake. When that demo came out, it was the whole first like mission of the game.
Yeah.
And then when the actual full game came out and I had to replay it, I was like, I don't want to do this.
You poor thing.
Right, let me skip through this real quick.
I handled that completely different. I'm like, oh, I'll do it again. All right, I'll do it again.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's great. It's just like I had already done it, so the first time I played through it, I was like, yeah, let's go. And then the save file didn't transfer over, and I was like, all right, well, I already kind of know the whole beginning of this game, so let's kind of skip ahead. Yeah, man, and I don't know. I think it's really because it's starting to get like worse and worse reviews on Steam, right? Because these guys are like, yeah, I bought this game expecting it to be finished at some point, but here we are, still waiting.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So that I'm surprised that games like that don't get a lot of more hate. Like, because that would like infuriate me. Where like you're gonna tell me, or I'm gonna make a commitment to this game, and then like after 3 years, like it's still in early access. Like, what is this? Star Citizen? Like,
yeah, Star Citizen, the most notorious, like egregious example of that.
Isn't that game still in development?
Yeah, and it's still accepting crowdfunding.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. You can go on their website and donate right now.
That's fucking awful.
They've raised like over $40 million. But the thing is that like early access, it kind of made sense at first, right? Because those games are all about creativity on how you can approach different situations, and they want to make it like as D&D as possible, so you can like persuade your way out of a situation or something like that. So having it crowd based and like getting feedback from the audience is like a really good way to go about that. But you have to finish the game at some point, like you have to actually get in there and finish it. So I don't know. That's driving me nuts. Still hyped, but getting a little impatient, getting a little sick of it.
Yeah. I think, quick side note, I think we're going to have to do a deep dive on Star Citizen. I'm seeing some things here. I just pulled it up on YouTube real quick, and oh my God.
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm gonna do. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do an investigative I'm gonna do an investigative deep dive into Star Citizen, and at some point down the road, I will provide my report.
Okay. And I cannot wait to hear it because Star Citizen is wild, man.
I'm seeing. Oh my God! I'm seeing some things that like. There's a package right now. I'm looking at. They're like they sell packages. Like I don't know what that means, but there's one that's $1,100.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I'm like 100% convinced that I'm 100% convinced it's like a money laundering thing.
That like wow.
Yeah.
But the reason I brought this up is famously in one of the last Alpha Nerds episodes we did in our first iteration, I had brought up Diablo Immortal.
Oh God.
And funny enough, it's out now, and I play it on my phone because I was bored during training and like when we had these long breaks. I'm like, all right, fuck it, let me check out Diablo Immortal. It's free. And here's my thing about it. Gameplay wise, I think it plays fine. I think it's actually pretty entertaining. But like where it's getting a lot of hate is these microtransactions where like the end game stuff. And my frustration with people, and maybe this is just me who I don't play a lot of free to play games, so like it could just be me being naive, but like if a game's free to play, why are we upset with the monetization?